Coming up in the news, will there be in-person graduations on Grand Bahama? Also, hear why a group of car salesmen are voicing their concerns tonight. And a Grand Bahamian girl putting the country on the map in a horse show competition in South Florida. The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, starts now.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, Northern Edition.
Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Shashina Wolf-Arkeson. As always, it is so great to have you with us. Topping news, some schools on Grand Bahama say they are in limbo days before their planned graduation ceremonies, as there is no clear information regarding commencement exercises. While some institutions have made the decision to postpone their events, others are still reaching out to the competent authority for approval. While it should be an exciting time for schools and students graduating this June, administrators of some local schools say they are frustrated and have no idea whether or not they will be able to hold their planned graduation ceremonies. Principal of Tabernacle Christian Academy, Norris Bain, says the tents were up and they were ready for their high school graduation, which is set for tomorrow. But after writing to the competent authority and the Office of the Prime Minister, they received a correspondence that said they could not support a face-to-face graduation.
We scrambled to have a meeting with Dr. Bartlett and the parents, explaining why. And he was explaining that there was a new strain of the coronavirus, and that the Delta version of it. And he felt like Bahamians, we need to continue to push the vaccination of Bahamians, and even though we have a mask, or even though we get vaccinated, we still need to wear a mask. He talked all about that and trying to stay safe, and so nobody can knock safety and wanting to be safe.
But he says the school had safety in mind.
We had a tent for parents, we had a tent for the graduates, and we had a tent for the teachers. And on top of that, we limited the amount of persons that could come in and represent the graduates at this graduation ceremony. Sunland
Baptist Academy's principal, Devonna Knoll, says they too are in limbo as their ceremony for preschool is planned for this week, primary school next week, and high school the week after. She says the school had a safety contingency plan in place that includes sanitization stations, a ticketed system which would only allow 2 guests per graduate, a security team to ensure the protocol is adhered to, and a church that can hold up to 2,000 persons, even though only 350 are invited to the graduations.
We have not received any formal communication with regard to whether or not, we can hold in-person graduations. However, there's rumor that, we shouldn't be holding an in-person graduation, that it should be virtual or drive-through. At this point, we're in limbo in that regard. Everything that we did as far as planning for graduation was done strategically.
And the preschools are also feeling the pressure. Growing Years Preschool Principal Anushka Roll says they received a message advising preschools not to host in-person graduations but drive-through ceremonies instead. She says their school also had a safety plan in place and invited a maximum of 44 persons at the BUT Hall, which has a capacity 3 times more than that number.
I am writing letters to the Office of the Prime Minister, the competent authority, to see if we can still have a ceremony. We were only allowing each graduate to have 2 tickets. That would be 2 guests for each graduate, and our graduating class is very small.
Grand Bahama has been through a lot, they say, and these school officials believe that stripping these students from the graduation at the last minute is not the right thing to do, especially given the fact that some parents had to travel for the special ceremonies.
Grand Bahama especially has been through a lot within the last 2 years, and things have not been normal, and so this was just a way to give a little bit of that normal to our students and our parents.
Very irate and disappointed, and I don't know if I can blame them. They've experienced Dorian, and now they've experienced COVID-19, their school year's been disrupted.
Parents are disappointed. I created a group chat today just for parents to inform them of what is going on and what we have to do and what we are preparing to do.
It's heartbreaking because you have parents who have spent money. You have these gowns that have been ordered. You have these bow ties and these pantsuits that have been ordered for the young men. And it's like, to me, if you can be out here campaigning, if you can be out here having parties and functions and having church services and funerals, why can you not have a graduation for 22 students?
Now, our ZNS News team received a copy of the letter to Tabernacle Baptist Academy from the Office of the Prime Minister dated June 14th that stated that no objections were offered to the hosting of their pre- and primary school graduation exercises, provided that the number of attendees is limited in accordance with physical distancing. However, the Office of the Prime Minister could not support the senior graduation exercise based on the submitted proposed plan. Well, late today, Tabernacle Baptist Academy received a second correspondence from the Office of the Prime Minister, noting that there is no objection to the senior graduation exercise, with the understanding that the COVID-19 ambassadors will be invited to assist with the monitoring of this activity. So the school will be able to host its graduation exercise, and that will be slated for next Tuesday at 6 p.m. We also spoke with Chairman of the Grand Bahama COVID-19 Task Force, Dr. Frank Bartlett, who says there is a process that all schools have to go through in order to have graduation ceremonies.
When you're looking at the schools in and of themselves, you can have a face-to-face, but it has to be within the guidelines. You can't say that, oh, we're going to put up a tent and not say how many people are going to be in that tent, or have too many people in the tent, but you can't adhere to social guidelines. So the face-to-face, where it is, all those things are taken into consideration with the intent of trying to minimize the risk of spreading potential disease. So as it stands, you can do your face-to-face, you can do your drive-through, you can do your virtual, but we need to know the details, and we need to be assured that they are within the guidelines that have been set up by the emergency orders. That's the only thing that we're asking. So if you're out of the guidelines, then we, for the greater part, try to have discussions and try to come to some solution.
And when it comes to the Delta strain, he said it is important to share this information so that residents do not let their guards down.
I mentioned the Delta strain now because the Delta strain accounts for some 10% of the new cases in the United States now. It is more infectious. They're having challenges with it again, even in Britain, who has a higher rate of vaccination than they do in the United States. But it becomes an issue.
And a group of car salesmen voicing their concerns tonight about the challenges they have been experiencing with the special post-hurricane vehicle exemptions. They are calling on the powers that be to step in and resolve this issue. RJ Philippe picks up the story.
Immediately after Hurricane Dorian, the Bahamas government provided a tax waiver on the import of vehicles to replace those that were lost or damaged on the islands of Abaco and Grand Bahama. That exemption order expired the end of May. However, in an effort to let their voices be heard, a number of car import business owners gathered at the Ministry of Finance headquarters to share their concerns. They believe that the waiver on vehicles should be something the government should consider extending.
These are saying that cars are not cleared off the harbor. This is a problem. They need to resolve this. And what I'm trying to get clear is, if you lose a car, I paid duty on that already. You trying to tell me that I can't get another car that I paid for back? Come on, man.
Right now, it's ridiculous because my vehicle's been there for 2 weeks now. They tell me they can't put my car on the boat because some reason, I don't know what. You know what I mean? And it's the end of the time where I can't even use my exempt to say clear my vehicle. Come on, man. I'm working too hard, and there's barely jobs out there to say even make ends meet out here. You know what I mean? Come on, man. You saying your vehicle is still in? Yes. Not over here. And they telling me they can't do anything about it right now. They could bring it, but they still have to pay. You understand? But that don't make no sense because I lost a lot. My house, my vehicles, come on, my job. What else can you all take from us?
These car business owners say there are many complications that they are experiencing at the Freeport Harbor with Customs Department. They are asking for help from the government.
I wanted them to honor their agreement. Like, They said it's the exemption form. We already paid our duty for it. So you can't just give everybody a time when they can use their form. Everybody don't have the same resources. Once you have your form and it's approved, you should be able to use your form whenever you're available. People in High Rock has lost their houses as well as their vehicles. You can't make me decide if I'm going to pay to, hey, fix my roof or buy a vehicle.
I have 2 vehicles on the harbor, and these customers would have lost their jobs during the pandemic. They're just going back to work in January of this year, so they're just accumulating monies. And now, in order to purchase a vehicle, their vehicle came here May 27th, and now the vehicles are stuck on the harbor because they don't have no funds to clear the vehicles. And they was expecting the exemption paper that they would, when they lost their vehicle in the storm, to be honored and get their vehicle off. Now their vehicle is on the harbor collecting $24 a day storage, and it's a killer.
Owner of Self-Made Auto Justin Stewart, along with Jason Martin, noting that it is unfair to have their exemption papers already approved by the Ministry of Finance, but their vehicles are still being held at the harbor.
We got people who really want to focus on getting their house repaired rather than, dealing with their car now. They actually have the money to get up, to get their car. You know what it is, that they spend their money, purchase the vehicle, have the vehicle shipped. They realize that you can't use your form now. Guess what? You don't have any money to clear the car. All the money you already invested inside the vehicle. Now what you supposed to do? Just leave it out there? Come on, man. That ain't fair on the people. If you already have a form, I feel like you should be able to use your phone whenever. I know they stop approving it. So if they ain't approving it, why is there a problem for the set what already approved?
This is a slap in the face for people to still have these paperwork and approve. If you know that you approved 30 of these, then there's 30 cars you should look for.
I'm Jay Philippe, ZNS Network News.
Thanks, Jay. Now the Minister of State for Finance, the Honorable Kwesi Thompson, responding to those claims.
The Ministry of Finance advises the public that the government has agreed to amend the Special Economic Recovery Zone order to allow for the tax-free provision for eligible vehicles landed in the designated area before August 31st, 2021. So we have extended the time for those vehicles to have been landed to August 31st, 2021. Consistent with the current SIRS order, this would be applicable only to eligible vehicles that were purchased by May 1st, 2021. So we had to strike the right balance with providing the necessary assistance and being fiscally responsible with managing the government's purse. However, we noted and accepted that there have been valid logistical concerns raised by a number of persons who have delays caused by operational challenges with their shipping. These issues have been raised also by individuals and by our very own local members of parliament in the affected areas. The government has heard those concerns and have decided to extend the landing date to August 31st, provided that eligible persons in Grand Bahama and Abaco can demonstrate that the vehicles were purchased by May 1st. If by chance you purchase a vehicle on or before the 1st of May 2021, which was brought in between June 1st and today's date, you've paid the full duty and would have otherwise been eligible, you would be entitled to a refund of the funds paid.
In other news, the Bahamas Immigration Department placing 8 foreign nationals before the courts yesterday. Appearing in the Magistrates Court number 3 before Magistrate LaQuay Lang were 4 Haitian females, 3 Haitian males, and 1 Jamaican male to answer to the charge of illegal embarkation. Reports revealed that the 8 were found on a vessel in waters off West End. They all pled guilty to the charge and were ordered to be kept in the custody of the Bahamas Immigration Department until deportation. On Friday, June 11th, the migrants were rescued by local authorities in waters off West End after the vessel they were in overturned. They claimed that they were headed for the United States on a smuggling operation. 2 Haitian nationals, an adult female and a male child, drowned in that ordeal. Now, the Jamaican migrant claims that he was wearing a life vest at the time the vessel capsized and was in waters for 12 hours before he was picked up by a passing yacht. Police needs your help tonight in locating 2 missing men. The first missing person is 39-year-old Shavargo T. McBride. He is described as having dark brown complexion, muscular build, brown eyes with dreadlocks. His last known address is listed as 169 Jump Bay Drive, Wellington, Pender Heights. McBride was last seen on Monday, March 15th, 2021. Also, 54-year-old Anthony DeVoe is also reported as missing. He is described as dark brown complexion, heavy build, 5 feet 6 inches tall with a low haircut and a missing right eye. His last known address is listed as number 2 Privateer Drive. DeVoe was last seen on Monday, March 15th, 2021. The officers of the Western Division are searching for a suspect wanted for assault with a deadly weapon. 25-year-old Isaac Clinaris, aka Yellow, is described as having a light complexion with a medium build. His last known addresses are listed as Orange Hill and Grand Bahama. Now, if you have any information on the whereabouts of Isaac Clinaris, aka Yellow, you are asked to contact police at 392-4333 or 4, or you may call your nearest police station. Stay with us. We'll be back in just a moment.